actually get a 4-man down here, which is why we double up with the 2-man event. It's a great start profile. It starts a little flat, but you can see it just starts disappearing here into corner 1. Now this top section, you're just wanting to keep as quiet as possible. This track is so busy, the transitions come at you fast. You want to hit the inside wall there, so you've got to keep away from that to be smooth into 2. And then you've got this 3-4 transition, which again is bumpy in the back. And 5 and 6 as well, you feel that. That sounds horrendous if you're walking up the track. You hear bang, bang, you think, I do not want to be in there. Get into the 7, 8, 9 labyrinth, off 9 into 10, and you whip through this narrow corridor into 11 here. Now this is when it gets hectic. 10 to 14 is where we're going to see the steering happen, the driving happen. They have to drive so smooth down here to get this right. No one looks good through here. It's how you minimize the chaos, basically. Down this straightaway into an almost horseshoe-esque, but in a right turn, 15 corner. Now up into here is critical as well, into the Kreisel corner. That little loss of pressure over the hill, if you take a tap, you go into a big skid, so you've got to keep that right under control. But yeah, round the Kreisel, off at the finish line. If you're in Brad Hall's sled, he'll park you into the wall off that. But hopefully Taylor has got his padding in today.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very tight and narrow track, built by the Soviet Union back in the dark days of the Iron Curtain, and it was a secret test facility for them in the same way that Altenburg was for the DDR.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In our World Cup, I know everything. I'm a daddy. In our World Cup, it is Hansi Lochner who leads the standings from Franchesco Friedic. Lochner, of course, the 2-man world champion. Brad Hall lies third ahead of Christopher Harfer, who's not here. So Mickey Vogt of Switzerland has the opportunity to move up. There is Johannes Lochner. He's had a shave this morning, or at least in the not too distant past. And Franchesco there, muffled up to the edges as ever. Everybody's kind of trying to shake off a little bit of sickness still from St. Moritz, which was a real super spreader event, I think. But yeah, they're all pretty much still keeping going to the end of the season. It's got that sort of just about getting there feeling, hasn't it?
Yeah, there were a few tired bodies in the Innsbruck warm-up last week saying, oh,
yeah,
kind of wish this was the end. We've got to get to Sigulda. But it's one of those things, when you get there, you turn up, you start warming up, the fluid starts moving around your knees, the inflammation dies down a bit, and you go, all right, I'm ready for one more, or 2 more, rather.
All right, in our entry list, one new name to look at, nearly new name to look at. Well, Matej Buhane of the Czech Republic is making his 2-man World Cup debut, having raced in the World Championships in St. Moritz. But we've also got a relatively new name from Germany, Max Ilman. Penultimate race of the BMW IBSF 2-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're here in Sigulda in Latvia for the season finale. A double race weekend gets underway with Lee Chunjan and Yi Ji-long. Martin Haven and Greg Cackett watching the action. This athlete in his 14th 2-man World Cup race. Last season, 17th in race 1, 15th in race 2.
Yeah, so Lee likes it here. I spoke to him in the elevator last week. So we have this big elevator taking the sleds up to the top of the track here. And he seems to like the track now. Also, Yi Ji-long, I'm interested in to see pushing, because he's been in part of a really good 4-man crew this year. And a 497 getaway is absolutely no slouch. Yeah. This is a great start. And Lee navigating these top corners pretty well. You can see how bumpy this ride is. Yeah,
lots of late flops, lots of whipping onto the corner like there in corner 6. I mean, big pressures as well down in 10, in 11, and out of 13 here. That sets you up for 14. Critical to keep it straight here. It's pretty much flat. Up into 15, big height, and again, exit here keeps the speed alive if you're straight into the Kreisel, which is the last corner. So across the line, 50.34. Let's put that slightly into context. It's a 49.19 track record compared to 50.34. We had track records this morning in the Monobob, but we have not had track records broken in any other discipline that's been here more often. So I think
it's just slowed down a bit as the day's worn on here. Yeah. But you know, not a bad drive from Lee here. Like I say, you're just minimizing the chaos between this 10 and 14 section. But he gets out nicely from 14, I believe.
It is, exit 14.
Yeah, pretty good little skid. But you want to keep that straight as possible, because if you have minimized said chaos, then you've got all that speed to carry down into this 15 corner and to get around the Kreisel with.
That's where you bleed it all away, for sure.
So we'll see how that stacks up.
So Lee Chunjan and World Cup debutant in 2-man Yi Ji-long are done and down. Matej Buhane, as we said, replaced Dominik Dvorak for the World Championships. Dvorak had to have quite urgent knee surgery. In the last World Cup race that we had for 2-man, and that was just before St. Moritz, Dvorak was racing And Mate was looking forward to completing his Europa Cup season. So here he is, making his World Cup debut. Antonin Vijas behind him, the 21-year-old brakeman, new to the programme this season. It's also a first two-man World Cup start for him.
Yeah, no, they've done all right together before. I think they've done a ninth in the World Juniors in 2021, but I think not a lot since then. So, and a 5:06 getaway, that's not bad from these new Czech lads.
Well, Mate in the Europa Cup was racing here in January of this year before he got the call up for the World Championship. So he was here just a little over 4 weeks ago.
So we'll see if some of that pre-season experience is going to help him out here, because it is a bumpy, wild ride. I was speaking to the Latvians last week who were even dreading coming here, saying, you know, Sigulda's a rodeo. I was like, oh, I like Sigulda. They're like, no, oh, so you can see he got pushed off late there. So we might see some roll-offs there. Hopefully we don't, but he managed to keep that straight.
2500s back, second best speed to Chunjan.
Whips into that Kreisel. You can just see again, desperately trying to hold onto that square line up the overhill where he loses the pressure. Coach Davi there. So not too bad. 50.71. Okay, these boys are still new, still getting their experience.
Yeah, well, it's second race weekend here this season, so it looked probably smoother than a rookie would normally make it look.
That's it. And he just rescues that off the end there. You can see that. He's bumping around. Antonin's feeling all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that 10-11 transition is pretty ropey. And here, the exit of 14, the straighter you come, the better the runners like it.
That's it. But that's definitely not the worst we'll see.
Oh, no.
That's not too bad at all.
No, and over the brow here, this is coming into the Kreisel, so that's out of 15. It does go uphill. You can see the outrun there coming up underneath the track. So that's why there is that sort of humpback bridge effect. So lots of Latvian sliders there watching. Among them, Zintasek Manis, the first Latvian to claim an Olympic medal in bobsleigh, although at the time he was representing the Soviet Union. Jakob Kalenda next up for Latvia. Fourth World Cup for the 20-year-old. Ivo Kleinberg's behind him, 25 years old, but it's only his 9th two-man start.
So we've got the next generation of two-man Latvians here. Big Ivo Kleinbergs. He's had some fantastic pushes this year. You know, he's kept Mattis Miklis honest, pushing the young lad Kalenda here. So let's see what they've got in the tank. He's run that far. Oh. Get in, big man. 495, so good getaway. But that load might come back to haunt them speed-wise. Only third best speed.
Well, Kleinberg's in his second season. He's been bounced on his head twice, both times in Altenburg, which is kind of like this in terms of tough drivers' tracks. But Kalenda's been a really big revelation this season. Definitely. Wasn't necessarily expected to be competing, but he's really stepped up.
And he was flying in training this week.
Oh, late and a skid. And again, got to gather it all up into 13. A little late there, but should be okay out of 14. Down in front of all the fans.
Keeping that straight. Big height in 15. Now watch the loss of pressure here. Can he keep that straight? Nicely done. So he'll retain some speed here.
Yep. If you keep it straight, you close on the leaders. 2800s back in second place behind Chunjan.
Yeah, so you can see how much the track's slowing down. In training this week, these guys are coming down in 50.0.
Yeah.
You know, so this is 6/10 slower here. Look at the crowd. This is why we love coming to Sigulda, even though it's bouncy.
Well, this track, like Koenigsegg, is almost all at ground level. You can almost literally lean on the wall as the sled whistles past an inch away, but he got his knee just hooked up a fraction there.
But that's a big man getting in that sled, so he's done well to get down, but he'll want to tidy that up for the second run for sure.
That's the exit of 11. And just a fraction late with the steer. And again, you're talking a couple of hundredths of a second later than ideal. Jakob Kalenda, though, one heat done. So we'll be racing two-man again Sunday afternoon, the final race of the season. Well, little disappointment for Switzerland's Melanie Hassler this morning. Slipped out of the medals in the mono. Let's see if Mickey Vogt can get in there in the two-man. Cyril Bieri behind him. Now, Bieri's an interesting candidate. Only his 6th ever two-man World Cup. Started with Billy Meyerhans a few seasons ago. It's his first World Cup start in two-man since January 2020. So over 3 calendar years.
Yeah, but you know, Cyril has got real skills in the push. He's a fantastic four-man brakeman, but he's got some good enough. Ooh, dodge on the load there. A 5 flat getaway, which again is not too bad for someone who's not been in the back seat all season in the two-man. But Cyril's got real pedigree. He's a good brakeman. But when you're competing with the like of Sandro Michel as well, who works so well with Mickey, you know, they just gel so well. So it's nice to see him get an opportunity here.
Yeah.
And Mickey again, talented driver. We're seeing him tame this top half beautifully.
Well, he's had a silver and 2 bronze medals on this track, Mickey Vogt, but he's also had a hatful of teen finishes. So let's see. I mean, last year he was 15th and 13th. The year before, 2 medals.
It was good here. So he was finding speed, but
well, still had some of it, but again, skidding that away, he won't. Oh, he was still the fastest speed.
See where we are at the line.
Going to be a few hundreds ahead of He. 8
800
hundredths of a second, 50.26.
And there is Sandro cheering on his boys and Peter Ramseidel. So again, these guys, a decent run, but you can just see how much you give away that time, give away that speed if you take those taps. But he was a little bit iffy through the 10 to 14 section as well.
There's a few real critical areas. This late hookup here, out of 10 into 11, that can really cost you because you get so hard onto 11. The corner's already started and you're nowhere near climbing up the wall. And the exit of 14.
Little skid.
How close the crowd are here. Don't forget, the sled here is doing 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, you feel that. Now, in training this week, I was coming around that corner with Brad and his visor had popped up. Yeah. And I was hearing whistling and I was thinking, oh, we're flying, we're going so fast, but it's because it was whistling through his helmet. Visor,
yeah. 75 miles an hour in 0 temperature, that gets the eyes watering.
Absolutely.
So next up is our world champion, Hansi Lochner, 6th and 9th in the 2 races here last year. But Georg Fleischhauer behind him, 4th two-man World Cup, and he's done the World Championships. He has never stepped out of a sled with Hansi in the two-man without a gold medal.
Yeah, what a stat that is. And yeah, he's world champion. These are the world champions. World champion brakeman, world champion pilot. But Georg hasn't just been fast this year. Now, watch the load of this guy. So we've got a big man here. He's about 6'6", 6'5". Just like Kleinberg, we saw him struggling to get in. Watch Fleischhauer load into the back of this sled. He's probably one of the best two-man loaders in the business right now.
And he is an absolute beast.
Boom, down, gone,
it's like there's a trap door in the bottom of the sled. He just drops through.
And a 484, so that's going to stack up. The low end of the 4.8s today is going to be what to shout for today, because Alex and Friedic have the record, the 475, but a low 4.8 is a great getaway. And Hansi again has been rapid all week in training. This sled is flying. The world champions are wanting to finish as the overall winners.
Best speed of all. I was talking to René Spies saying that Lochner really seems dialed in, whereas in training Friedic was all over the place. But he said, we know in the race Friedic will be right on the money. That's a great looking exit as well. Good. Tiny tap at the 15, big height. There should be a bell there, shouldn't there? Like in a fun fair. Ding! As you hit the roof. Top speed, 124.8. 77.5 miles an hour.
Yeah. That's right. What are you doing in there, Sandro? You're on that team.
He's watching.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a run for the world champions.
Well, we've sort of heard rumours during the year. Hansi said he's definitely not making any decisions until the summer. So as of now, I think this extra injection of life that Georg has given him and fun, I think he might well stay on till the next games. Look at that.
Oh, a little tickle.
Inverted, but actually the runners were just being pushed off the ice there. There's a little rim of ice right at the top of 15. And it's only the centrifugal force that keeps the sled nailed there when it's inverted.
That's it, but you see him, I mean, the speed these sleds generate, and when they're driven by someone like Hansi Lochner, you've got your work cut out for you.
Does he look like a man who's bored with the end of the season? He looks like he's having the time of his life, Hansi Lochner.
I'll be fascinated to see what he does.
Yeah.
Wow, half a second up on Mickey.
5 sleds down, first heat of the two-man World Cup. Round 7 here at Sigulda in Latvia. Great look into the sled. You can see the bungee straps hanging down and coming up from the floor that hold the steering rings in place, so the driver's not trying to find them on the floor because they are attached to cables. There's not a steering wheel in these sleds. This is Latvia's #1 driver this season, Emil Sabulis. Like Brad Hall, World Championship medalist in St. Moritz. And perhaps one of the biggest surprises of the entire championships was to see just how good he was over 4 heats.
Definitely, and that's a big push. He's got one of the best in the business with Mattis Miknes on the back. That was a little late off the bat there. But a 486 getaway, so only 200ths away from Georg and Lochner, so that's a fantastic start for these two.
And if Miknes is in tomorrow, that will be his 50th two-man World Cup start.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I think he'll do both races.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, he's just such a beast as well, unless he's really crippled.
Well, that's it. And I've seen Davis Springus in the gym this week. He's been absolutely fine, so they might want to give him one. Look at that exit. That's a Latvian exit in Sigulda. This is beautiful. Little skiddy there. That's what you just see.
Well, that's putting the brakes on. Really putting the brakes on.
What damage will that do?
Well, he's gone from 2/10 to 5/10 back. That's what it does. And it absolutely crucifies you. It's uphill, and the Kreisel then continues to go uphill as well. So that's the drama. Sinter Zikman is there in the black jacket and the Latvian hat, making notes on the phone and getting the pictures in.
Yeah, he's going to be frustrated with that. But, you know, the rest of it was pretty good, though. So to lose that much is a little surprising. But, you know, flying at the start, 486. Great job, Mattis.
Well, out of 14 here, nice straight lines right by the crowd. But 15 came and got him. Out of 15, late runner pressure. And that big skid, you know, he has to save it in the end because he's got to get into Kreisel somehow. Whips onto Kreisel, but it's here when you come over the brow. It is like a humpback bridge for the sleds. They don't take off like you used to do in Cortina, but there's no pressure to keep the runners down. If you're anything other than ruler straight, you're in for a big loss of speed. So, Emil Sabulis chases Hansi Lochner, and now Max Ilman, not his two-man World Cup debut. He made his debut here in December 2020 in the two-man. He was 18th and 16th. He was the two-man junior world champion last year. The wrong year to do it, because you don't get a free extra place in the Olympics. That only works for the World Championships. He was the silver medalist this year, so didn't go as the free entry to the World Champs. Behind him, Joshua Tascher. Now, this is his two-man World Cup debut as well. He's been on Lochner's four-man sled, and
Ilman struggled there.
But he got in and he got it driven, 489.
Excellent getaway, Yoshi. So Yoshi's a Rugby Sevens guy.
Yeah.
Hasn't been around long. He deputised for Raspi on Lochner's sled recently. Got himself a bronze in Innsbruck last week on the four-man, which actually shows his pedigree. But Max, again, is another one of these. You see the depth in German bobsledding talent. You know, they can bring a guy in and he can come and do the business on World Cup.
And Adam Amor is here as well, was here in training, so I think Adam is in tomorrow's start list rather than Max. So yeah, they've got more than enough in the B team, haven't they, to keep the A team very busy. And look at the way he's looking round the sled, sat so low. You know, low as Mika McNeil, but a foot taller.
And it's not too bad, he just about tames those straightaways.
And across the line, second place, but there is a yawning chasm between Johannes Lochner and everyone else, 50.17, and actually what's more edifying is to look behind, just 600ths behind him is Emil Sabulis. So Joshua Tascher there in the back, this is only his second ever two-man race, and you can hear Max beating himself up about getting hooked up in the bungees.
This is on the low, so he slipped before, yeah.
The handle.
But hey, he recovered well. I mean, Max, don't beat yourself up too much. You recovered excellently there. It could have been a disaster. It could have been Yoshi trying to get that sled down.
But, absolutely. No, I mean, if your driver's on the track, you get out. You kick away from the sled as quickly as you can as a brakeman.
I think I'd bring it down.
You think you wouldn't crash before 3?
Yeah,
you would definitely crash out of 10. But yeah, man, didn't see that. And that's slightly I mean, the start area is covered, but you know, just that gloved hand slipping down the push bar.
Hey, and sitting in second.
Yeah.
And an 89 getaway. I mean, Max will be delighted with that.
Funky socks. This is Marcus Triel and Sasha and again, here we go. Here we're ringing the changes. Marcus Triel in his 47th two-man World Cup race, 22nd and 21st last year. Sasha Stepan, how many two-man races has he ever done in his life? 2. This is his second World Cup two-man race. His last was in February 2020.
Yeah, so Sasha's Last time Sasha was in a two-man Sigulda, 497 getaway. That's excellent. It was with, I was actually in the race, and he was racing with Benny.
Yeah.
It was a 14th place finish, but Sasha is a top four-man operator.
Yeah.
Okay, they've been fantastic all year on Bobsleigh, and Marcus has benefited because he's had a fantastic season from it. But he's showing that with the right push, the guy can drive. Look at it again, another one taming this top section. A little flop off there.
Well, Triel's best results here have been some of his best ever, because he's had top 10 finishes here, he's had 10th place finishes here, but he's also missed the cut last year. So in both races.
When he takes the skid, coming in 15, he's kept right control.
So he's gone from 42 hundredths back. He will be 7 tenths back, 8 tenths back at the line. Oh dear, what a nightmare. 7 tenths back at the line. I mean, absolutely hemorrhaging speed. You can almost hear the MPH dropping off the sled there when it goes sideways.
Yeah, and we talk about that with tracks with undulating, you know, with slight uphills. We know you go into a skid on an uphill, you're just signing the death knell for your...
well, think about when you're watching Formula One. If somebody's car goes sideways, they're having a big moment. They're not fast. They're saving an accident, and that's exactly what you're seeing here.
So he got pushed a little late off 14, but again, that's not the worst.
Long late, wasn't it? Woo. Yeah.
Sasha bouncing around a little bit in the back there. Sasha's one of the lighter athletes in the field, so again, this would have been a heavier sled. So a 497 getaway is still really, really good. Anything sub 5 here into the low 4.9s into the 4.8s, you're looking at your higher caliber push start in Sigulda. So a really good return for Sasha.
Out of 14, out of 15 as well. Double tap along the wall, and then just in sideways. I mean, that's MotoGP backing it in to slow the bike down. It's the same here. Okay, Valentino Rossi would dangle a leg as well, but the speed goes away just as much. So next up is our 9th sled in the field. This is Patrick Baumgartner, 33rd two-man World Cup race for the 28-year-old, and Robert Messia behind him. And again, Baumgartner, a different driver this year. Last year, 18th and 17th. If he's outside the top 10 today, he will be disappointed, and rightly so. That's not the season he's been having.
Yeah, we absolutely love these guys. We always get on well with the Italians, and Patrick getting those 2 6th place finishes last week in the 4-man is fantastic. 5:05 getaway. Patrick's not so strong in the start, so the 2-man always suffers a bit, so you need a beast on the back, and he's got that in Robert. Robert is one of the best Italian weightlifters and has chosen to do bobsleigh, which we love. Someone who's chosen to do our sport, wants to do it, and wants to be great at it. The guy's got insane lifts. He cleans like 190 kilos, 200 kilos. It's insane. So having athletes of that caliber in our sport is fantastic.
This is a pretty decent run from Baumgartner.
You see him, he's got in his hands.
Yeah, it's not too dangerous. Now, exit of 14. If he keeps it straight here, he's in the money. Look at that, third best speed. Big height in 15, keep it straight. He does. Youth Olympic champion 2012 in boys bobsleigh. Top speed, 2nd at the lines, 5th at the line, 6th at the line. 64 hundredths back.
Hey, but not bad from Patrick. You know, an 8th fastest starts with a 6th place finish.
And Robert, a little previous on the brakes there.
Well, as I said, one of the strongest guys in the field. That's what happens. You got to wait till you get right to the top to tell someone like Robert to brake.
Yeah. He went for the jerk before the tree. Whatever.
Yeah.
He could lift it up one arm.
Exactly. There we go. And look at,
there you go.
Look,
the whole wall of high fives. There you go. He's only just arrived. That's nice. Well, here's the exit of 14, and this was clean as a whistle.
Yeah,
watch the runner tips. No steering at all. No skidding.
Yeah, that's nice from Patrick. I think you'll be happy with that run. That's good, and plenty to build on for the second one.
Listen, everybody rock and rolls a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, there's always the odd hard take on and hard flop off, but if you keep the speed at the bottom, then that's where you make your money. So our second athlete from the Czech Republic is Adam Deesh, again 30 years old, his first World Cup season. This is only his 5th World Cup start. Behind him, Dom Zaleski, 27-year-old sprint genius in his 6th two-man World Cup race.
Yes, I'm really keeping an eye on these guys. So Dom has had a pretty significant calf problem. So I was chatting to him in the warm-up this week. He was like, I don't know, maybe it'll be okay. So we're about to find out whether or not it's okay. So you got the national record holder in the 100 metres behind you. He's moving pretty well so far.
Looks like
I don't see any lane movements. He's
turnover is good.
Down. 5 flat.
There you go.
And this is a heavy sled. These are they're both light guys. So this is a super heavy 2-man. And
ooh, hoists it onto 3. Well, Deesh knows this track well. He's raced here a couple of times in Europe Cup, and those are always double race weekends for each of the disciplines, so he's got mileage here.
Definitely, and he's 2 bumpy out of 10.
And we know that he likes a driver's track. His best World Cup result ever, 10th place in Altenburg.
Late off 13.
Oh, but look at that.
Okay, in a nice
Gets
exit
away with
14.
it. Double tap into 15, 9th best speed, top 10 run.
Just a little skid into the uphill there.
A little bit disappointing off the 7th best start, but across the line he comes. He is in 10th place.
Yeah, I think
50.87.
a few of those mistakes at the top. Maybe he was a little, like you said, he went hard on some of those early corners, and it's just, you add that up all the way down the process of a run, and it's just going to keep scrubbing time from you.
Well, 1600s behind teammate Matti Buhane. So there's a nice little Czech Republic battle here. Look at the looping height and hauls it off hard.
Hey, and I tell you what, Matti will be delighted with that.
I tell you, if he can hang on to that, absolutely right. I mean, there's a decade between them in terms of age and a few seasons of experience. So Buhane, if he can hang on to that, will be very pleased indeed.
Just see them coming out of 13, slapping onto 14 there. Little pat on the bum for Dominic in the back. We've all felt those.
Well, you say that, it's actually more like a kick in the hips, isn't it, from a horse?
Oh, it's more like a lead pipe. I was just trying to be positive, man.
Adam will come and find me. He's only 7 years older than Matti, so there we go. Yeah. All right, so 10 down. First heat of the 2-man race here in Sigulda, and Johannes Lochner is our leader. Final 3 sleds, race 7 of the BMW IBSF 2-man bobsleigh World Cup in Sigulda, Latvia. And here is a man who has had so many successes here and one notable whoopsie. Last year, race 1, 12th place for Franchesco Friedic and Alexander Schuller. Went out and won gold the next day with Torsten Margis. Not Alex's fault, we'll point out. 488.
Ooh, an 88 getaway.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's good, but I thought, you know, these guys are the start record holders. I thought we'd see something a little quicker there, but I spoke to Alex this week. He's feeling a little tired. He wasn't feeling so good, so there could be just a bit of fatigue setting in, but Franz is trying to hold off the advance of Brad to keep hold of that silver globe, and he's trying to get the golden globe off Laptop. So he's
best speed of all. Here we go. From 400s back at the start, he's limiting the damage. Only 1200s behind Lochner. The greatest 2-man driver in history, just hangs
he
on
keeps
the
that
end
straight.
of 14.
He's controlled that so well.
This is going to be close. It will be single digits. He doesn't have the speed of Lochner.
But
In fact, he'll be a little further back at the line. 1400s, 49.88. You see, he can just drive so well.
you would not bet against him overturning that in the second heat as well. Hansi's going to have to be extremely good to hold this off, because there were errors there in the exit of 14, but he could, you know, lesser drivers would have gone into skids there. They would have not been able to control that.
Third more experience. This is Lochner's 56th 2-man World Cup start. It's Francesco's 90th 2-man World Cup start.
That's extraordinary longevity.
Most drivers don't do that in 2-man and 4-man. It is 170th World Cup start today. 2- and 4-man, and look at that.
He's just late off 14, but
does he panic?
You're waiting for the skid.
Nothing at all.
You're waiting for it to happen, and it never comes.
That's because he came off straight and square, late but straight. That'll go down in the bobsleigh dictionary of things to say again.
I was going to say innuendo bingo there.
Creating my own get in, get down. Now then, Franchesco Friedic and Alexander Schuller down and done. And here is Great Britain's Brad Hall. 49th 2-man World Cup race for Brad. 26-year-old brakeman Taylor Lawrence in his 6th 2-man World Cup start.
Yeah, these guys have had just a storming season in the 2-man. And, you know, they were disappointed with the 5th place at the World Champs, but, you know, for the British programme, a top 6 was what we needed for recognition, so they ticked that box, and Taylor's just been outstanding in the start this year, and Brad is in an insane patch of driving skills, so they are chasing Friedic here, make no mistake. 10
2-man races here. Brad's only done 4 of them, 5th, 12th, and then silver last year.
Get it, Brad.
490, that's a really competitive getaway.
Ooh, little adjustment there. Now, the bit I love most about this is later on when Brad gets upset about how I've critiqued his driving. How's the big tap there, Brad?
2700s back, so he was 600s back at the start, lost a lot of time early on, and that means that you have to be really on the money for the rest of the run. 5th best speed.
Again, don't bet against him finding speed, because Brad is exceptional on this track. And he enjoys it. Brad likes to drive. He likes to drive his track.
2 silver medals last year, the best performer in the field. Woo! Third best speed, 3,500, still losing time, but a great exit out of 15 into the Kreisel. Third best speed, where's he going to be at the line? In third place he is. Friedic 1,400s back, Brad 4,100s back, but in the medals by 200s ahead of Max Ilman.
Yeah, so I think, you know, he'll know plenty to clean up there, and these guys can start faster than that too. They all get themselves down to 4.8s on this next one because they are monstrous in the push.
Well, Friedic, a firm believer that if you haven't got the speed by corner 4, you're not going to get enough of it back here, and it did go away early on. Brad didn't quite get in cleanly. Yeah. Now, did he drift over and tap the wall going down? Exit of 14. Look at all the other runner marks. He's right where everybody else is, but comes out pretty much straight.
Yeah, Brad is excellent. Any track that has a chicane or anything you have to shoot a straight, Brad is one of the best in the business at that. He really has good natural feel for the sled and how to let that thing fly.
So it is Johannes Lochner, Franchesco Friedic and Brad Hall ahead of Max Ilman. So our final sled in the first of the 2 heats here, race 7 of the 2-man World Cup, penultimate race of the season, Cedric Follador, and making his 2-man World Cup debut, young Dominic Hufschmidt, 24 years old, the brakeman, 28 years old, the driver. Hasn't raced in the World Cup here before, Cedric, but did do Europe Cup in December 21, so has been to the track before, got a dozen or so runs down it.
Yeah, so his last Sigulda race was a Europa Cup 2-man. We came 4th, but with Marco Lorenzoni, so a different pilot. And Dom's had some good pushes with Sedi in the 4-man this year. And he's got good turnover, so see, looks something in the low 5.0s here, 5.10. So you want to improve that on the next one, but not a bad getaway.
Only the 3rd 2-man race of Dominic Hufschmidt's career. Not in World Cup, in anything.
Hey, and what a place to come and do it.
Yeah.
This whole section, he said he's controlling this pretty well.
Yep. Well, we saw this from Melanie Hassler in the mono. Her first run was really nice, just trickling down through the bottom of all the corners, basically not ramping it up on anywhere.
Yeah, and I mean...
Now, is that going to help him with speed? No, he's 7/10 back. And the speed is decent, but not great, not enough to limit the damage.
No, I just think that the start deficit there and with the velocity helped just affect him on the way down. Because this is a good drive from Sedi.
Yep.
Not bad at all.
So no previous races on this track. So Nicola Mariani there at the top with Peter Ramseidel. But a World Cup best of 9th place in Whistler. So
yeah,
doesn't mind a quick driver's track, does he?
No, and Sedi's had a great season. You know, he's had some really, really good results. It's been so nice to see some of the athletes who haven't traditionally had good results in World Cup come through and really stake a claim, and Sedi's definitely one of those. And he's nice out of here. He's a good driver. Like, we're quite close with the Swiss as well, and with Nicola Mariani, you just saw, he's always rating Cedric as a really, really good pilot. But again, slightly deficient in the start in the 2-man. So you've got 3 horses behind him on the 4-man, they can fly. In the 2-man, it's always that little bit more difficult, but good first round. Yeah,
good first run. One more to go to decide race 7, the penultimate race of the season. Johannes Lochner, the World Cup points leader, cannot seal the crystal globe today unless Franchesco Friedic crashes and scores nothing, Brad Hall crashes and scores nothing, and the rest of the field basically crash and score nothing. So all he can do here is win and extend his advantage, and he's halfway towards that. He leads after the first heat by 1,400s. That's not much over anybody, and it's really not much over Franchesco Friedic. Then look at the battle for bronze. Hall, Ilman, Sabulis, 800s. Another couple of hundreds back vote. He's not out of it. Lee Chunjan, we saw a fantastic first ever mono medal for China this morning. Maybe he'll get in there as well. It might be a tall order. He might have to hold off Patrick Baumgartner and Marcus Triel, who are snapping at his heels as well. Then the battle between Cedric Follador and the better of the 2 Czech drivers. And the Internecine Czech Republic struggle for supremacy as well. That's all to come in our second heat. That will be at 16:15 local, 15:15 GMT. That is in 50 minutes from now.